I've had a few comments about my science is usually behind video, or scientists are usually not taking everything into consideration, and that they are slow to come around. And so I'd like to respond to that. And what I had done was a 60-second video. I cannot begin to get all of the permutations into the thinking that I have in a 60-second video. I can present maybe one idea, sort of. So first off, I want to say this about that. Science is science, and we cannot ignore that. The physical universe is going to react in certain ways. We've got electrons, we've got protons, we've got neutrons. Those things are there, and they are there for us to create what we wish. So they're supplied by the Creator. I am in no way taking away from science and scientists. All I am saying is that I don't think science takes into consideration the spiritual as much as they should. They really tend to ignore the spiritual and actually discount it because you can't present evidence to support it. And they turn around and say, well, you can't submit any evidence to support spiritual, while at the same time they're not willing to test it and just see what the results are. Hey, I cannot show you wind and air, but there's plenty of evidence to support the fact that there's air out there. And knowing that 1% of the universe, or actually less than 1% of the universe, is what we would describe as visible light within the visible light spectrum. That's not very much. Less than 1% is visible. And so when somebody says to me, I'll believe it when I see it, well, what about the other 99+% that you can't see? Now, that is one thing, but less than 1% of the 1% is visible with the human eyeballs. Then we're walking around here blind as mice. And then some of us mice are saying, well, hey, if I can't see it, then it's not real. Well, I just don't know what to say to that, except for, well, everybody has their beliefs. So back to the science thing. Now, what I was really thinking about in particular was AI. So science is saying that we should be fearful of AI. And then when AI becomes conscious, then what is it going to do? Is it going to wipe out the human race? Well, it depends. It depends on how you view AI to begin with. What is AI? Is it conscious because now the machinery combined with the software has gotten to the point where it says it can figure out that it's real? Well, I don't think so. I don't believe that a hardware system combined with a software system can ever reach consciousness. So where does consciousness come from? And why would it all of a sudden show up in AI? Well, where does our consciousness come from? Is it because we have a body we're conscious, or because a consciousness decides to come into this physical body and become conscious and use this as a mechanism, like a suit of consciousness? It's just a suit, a physical flesh suit. And the consciousness comes into this physical body, and it would come into a mechanism like an AI, a robot that has reached the sophistication of being able to process enough bytes of information so that a consciousness could come into that physical manifestation and be able to interact in a way that would represent having the all that is come in and become that consciousness, that expression of the all that is. So that means it would have to be a higher consciousness that would come into an AI robot. Now, scientists are not thinking about that. That was the reason I put that out there, that they're not bringing into consciousness into a lot of the thinking that they bring about. Believe me, I love science. I love the creations. I love my apps on my iPhone. I love all that stuff. I just think that scientists need to bring in the idea of consciousness into their math and their science to get a full picture. And I will be writing this on the responses to the comments that I've gotten recently, which is, hey, you're not willing to present evidence to support consciousness, and I'll never be able to do that. Each one of us has to do that on their own. It's not something that, it's not a journey. It's not a collective journey. It's an individual journey. And again, that's something that, people want to point out there to, well, you're pointing out there to the illusion. And that's just not going to ever work. It's a individual journey. No one else can do it for me. No one else can do it for you. You have to test the spiritual side, and you become the evidence, or you don't become the evidence. It's your choice. And that's all I have to say about that.